The chapter begins with where Majima left off, with him finding Kiryu's business card, which then transitions to a flashback. Well, it's not really a flashback, it's more like we go back in time 8 hours before Majima reached this location and see that Kiryu has arrived in Sotenbori. So Kiryu's mission here is to hit up a video store and wait for a phone call, while Oda just gets to walk around because it's his hometown and he's also the boss. The person Kiryu has to meet on the phone line is Sarah, who has Makoto with him. Tachibana trusts him because he's really in deep with Kazuma, so on to the video store. Coming to Sotenbori as Kiryu is pretty cool, but there really isn't much to do here in terms of side quests. In fact, there aren't any side quests to do here with Kiryu. You can play most of the minigames except certain ones like catfights and pocket racing, but you can go to the Coliseum as Kiryu, which is really rad. But anyways, while we're here, let's talk about pool. Pool is as fleshed out as it needs to be. You can choose where to strike the ball and how hard to hit it, and you got 8 ball, 9 ball, 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 ball. If you're a fan of pool, you'll like this minigame. The only thing that might be broken with it is the enemy AI sometimes. I mean, they're not really enemies, you're just playing pool with them, but bro, some of these dudes are experts. It's crazy. But other than that, it's nice. Let's get back to the story. So after he's done pooling, Kiryu enters the video shop and chats up with the seller while... No! The seller leads you into a movie room where Tachibana probably, The dude talks about his past with Tachibana, talking about how he was in a gang with Oda, and Tachibana just straight up showed up and destroyed them. And Oda fell in love with that dude in a bro way and pretty much forced Tachibana to be their leader. And that's how Tachibana became the leader of their gang. It's here where we get a little bit more insight into Tachibana's backstory. Basically, Tachibana is a Japanese war orphan. What this entails is that he has Japanese and Chinese blood in him and lived in China. So everyone there hated him because he's not like a true Chinese. And the only people that treated Tachibana right was the mafia. So yeah, it's a pretty messed up history he's got there. This dude also tells us that Oda called Tachibana Big Papi, and then Oda's in the room and he's like, shut up. So Oda has come in to tell us that Makoto is dead, but the real one's alive. So yeah, we don't got any more time to waste. We gotta go. So seeing as we have to hurry up, Oda tells us to just go have fun in Sotenbori while he waits by the phone. So you just go do that. I don't know exactly what to do to make Oda get the call from Sarah, so just go do some disco dancing and Coliseum fighting in the meantime while you wait. But once you get a call from Oda, head to the video shop, but once you enter the phone room, you'll be on a straight path through a level and the chapter will end. And then the next one, you'll be in Kamurocho. So do everything you want to do in Sotenbori now, because you won't be able to come back for a while. You entered the phone room and Oda has a car prepared for us to head on over to Benten Inn. I think that's what it's called, Benten. Another thing which I mentioned with Majima, but I think this place should have been a bit of a hub world, kind of like how the Tojo clan was in the first 2 games. That would have been really nice. Would have brought a lot of personality to the place. But yeah, anyways, you get there and we learned that the reason Makoto just straight up didn't know was because she didn't know. The land was given to her grandfather and her grandfather died, so it transfers to her, but she didn't know about that, so oh well. She's reminiscing over the tragedies that have been happening to her and just wants to be done with this crap. Kiryu takes Makoto to the taxi, and the exact moment Oda speaks, Makoto looks worried.
急げよ、おい。早く来い。
今の声。
どうかしましたか。何してんだ。早く乗れって。
Oda brushes it off but then looks menacingly into the mirror. They're just going down the road and Shibusawa shows up and shoots a taxi driver from his car. Wait, what? But Shibusawa isn't alone, he brought friends, and those friends start shooting at you and Oda gives you a gun. And wait, why does Oda have a gun? Well, let's just say foreshadowing. But anyways, here begins a neat rail shooter segment, so let's go. And it has some fantastic music, which does kind of sound a bit like a rendition of Bad Fortune Flower from Yakuza 2, aka Riguji's theme. that's not where the callbacks stop, because this whole part of the game feels like a different rendition of the first game's shooting section. It's a neat callback. It's just like that fight in the Tojo clan, taking something from like a previous game but then doing it again, but better because now they've had more experience with these games. It just shows how far the team has come. This section in Zero is just better paced and more dynamic than the one in the first game. It feels like a dream to play. So heat has a pretty interesting application here. You can use it to slow down time to really aim your shots, and you can use your car as cover. Keep in mind though that you and the car have separate health bars, so the car can be destroyed or you could just straight up die. This section doesn't last too long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome, but I wouldn't have minded if it lasted like a minute more. Once you get past a certain section, Oda finds a place to lay low and escape Shibusawa. This situation's got Oda's feathers in a bit of a ruffle, and Kiryu, being one with a clear mind, tells him to calm down as to not scare Makoto. And Oda just doesn't care, he dismisses him. But Makoto's all like, oh, I'm fine, which leads to Oda almost smacking her head off, but Kiryu holds him back.
何やってんだお前
So yeah, Oda goes downstairs to check for stuff, and Makoto tells Kiryu that she knows Oda. She recognizes his voice. And Oda comes back with a gun.
やっぱ気づいてたんだ
Oda actually manages to grab Makoto, and he's all like, I can't let Tachibana see her, and plans to kill you and Makoto. But Makoto's walking chain is actually a knife chain, so she stabs Oda in the leg. Sarah was the one which gave Makoto that knife cane, in case anything went a little bit oopsie, but no one expected that Oda would be a bit oopsie. So if anyone hasn't caught on yet, Oda was the man who kidnapped Makoto and sold her off for money. Basically, from Oda's perspective, is that in order to get to the place where he was in Japan, he had to borrow a lot of money from the mafia. So he did a lot of messed up stuff in order to get money, which included selling Makoto. But the thing is, Tachibana is actually related to this story. Basically, after Oda sold the girl off, he met Tachibana, and yeah, he thought he was a real swell guy and begged him to be the leader of his gang, which meant Tachibana got the bat tattoo too. That's actually what made him lose his arm, because a rival gang took them by surprise. At that point, Oda swore to never betray Tachibana, but then it turns out that Makoto is Tachibana's sister, and Oda straight up sold her into like slavery. Oda planned to kill Kiryu and Makoto to make sure that Tachibana never found out about this. But before he can do that, well, I mean, he can't do that anymore because Kiryu body slammed him to the ground. But some Shibusawa thugs are coming, so Makoto asks Oda to get up, but like, I mean, she did knife his leg, so he asks Kiryu to give him his gun, then asks if he can do him one last favor. To tell Tachibana that he just straight loved them. Just loved them. And then we leave Oda with the gun, and we encounter the goons, so it's fight time. This beat 'em up level is really short. It's like 3 combat challenges. You fight a group while trying to protect Makoto, then you fight a mini boss. Then you fight a group plus the mini boss. And it's over. I would have liked the level went on a bit longer, but we did already have the shooting segment, so that could be counted as part of the level, but I just wanted to beat up some more dudes. It's a fun but short level. Once we beat the level, we get to see how Oda's last resort went. As it turns out, Shibusawa was paying Oda to betray Tachibana in order to give him Makoto, just like he was playing Nishitani to get Makoto for him, but they both come to the same fate in the end.
お前もだ
We cut to Kiryu and Makoto in a hotel just trying to hide from Shibusawa, and it's here where Kiryu kind of fills Makoto in on Tachibana because, well, It has been a while since they've seen each other. Makoto is quite surprised that he's like a calm person because the Tachibana she knows was rather aggressive, and well, why wouldn't he after all the abuse they went over in China? Like, for example, when they go to the movies, after the movie's over, people like spit on them. Yo, what the heck? And then the whole story of like Makoto like going to Japan is also like super messed up. Cause like Makoto and her mother got out of China because their grandfather was in Japan and owned the empty lot, right? So they go live with him, but he only speaks Japanese while they only speak Chinese. So Makoto is able to learn Japanese, but her mother couldn't and she killed herself. Wait, what? Yeah, her mother just killed herself under all the stress she had. So it's like, yo, what the heck, man? And then there's all the people that have died to protect Makoto, who have put their lives on the line to like protect her. She just can't handle it. But Kiryu does give her a few encouraging words.
ひどいな。長いこと暗い道を歩いていると、この先もずっと暗いもんだと思っちまう。前に進むことが嫌になる。自分の道がこの先どうなってるか分かってるやつなんてこの世に一人もいねえ。俺らにできるのは立ち止まって泣くか一歩でも前に進むかの二つだけだ。あんたはどっちでも好きな方を選んでいい。入り口までは俺が案内してやる。
So now, she's ready to go see her brother, and the chapter ends here. This was a pretty cool chapter. Visiting Sotenbori as Kiryu was a neat way to mix things up, and that railgun segment was great. And also, while Oda is a scumbag, I do like what they did with his character in relationship to like some of the themes of the game. Cause like a major theme of Yakuza 0 is loyalty. Like with Kiryu, for example, where do his loyalties lie? With his Yakuza family or with his father? And now here's Oda. Where do his loyalties lie? With his humanity or his well-being? And well, seeing what he did, he definitely abandoned his humanity. But he comes across someone who defies that, and that like changed Oda's world. But then all his past actions come to haunt him, and he can't help but fall into the same traps over and over. It's honestly pretty compelling that way. Though I will say it is a bit rushed. And speaking of rushed, we're reaching the finale here, because the next chapter after this is like Kiryu's final chapter before the big finale. So I don't know, something I've definitely noticed about Yakuza 0 on a couple second playthroughs is that the game definitely builds up a bit slowly, you know, building up all its pieces, and then everything explodes and everything goes crazy, and it's like, yo! On one hand, I think a little bit more gradual build up throughout the entire game would have helped, but on the other, it keeps things engaging, and it's definitely home to some of the best and most emotional moments in the series. So without further ado, let's move on to the next chapter. The chapter begins with Kiryu dropping off Makoto with the homeless homie, and he agrees to look after her until Kiryu is able to find Tachibana. However, that boy ain't picking up your calls, so it's time to hit up Little Asia. So Kiryu hits up Little Asia, and Tachibana is waiting for you on a hospital bed. Super dead, but not exactly dead. And well, Tachibana apologizes for not telling Kiryu about Makoto being his sister sooner, and he knew that Oda knew that Makoto was his sister, and yeah, this is where some of that heavy guilt's starting to come in. Simply put, Tachibana never confronted Oda about Makoto, and during his childhood, he ran away from China because he just hated being there. His Japanese heritage brought him so much hate and disgrace in that place that he just left to Sotenbori. Like, that heavy guilt hit him the hardest when he heard that his sister was in Kamurocho. So he went over there to meet her, but his sister went all the way to Sotenbori to meet him, and well, that's where she got kidnapped. Tachibana being in Kamurocho also led him to know about the empty lot and the stakes of the situation with the Dojima family, which leads to Tachibana striking up a deal with Kazuma, who feared what would happen if Dojima gained more power than he already has. Kazuma told Tachibana to start up a real estate firm to stop Dojima, so most of what has happened is because of Kazuma. The dude is a psychic. When Tachibana was first setting up his plan, he really didn't want to tell Makoto that he is her brother, but after everything Kiryu has told him, Tachibana is ready to face her again.
私は妹にシャオちゃんに会いたいです。今の私はそのためだけに 生きながらえています。もう二度と逃げたくありません。
もうすぐ会える。彼女はあんたを恨んでなんかいねえ。だが今もあんたの助けが必要だ。
But the Dojima family shows up to trash the place, which leads to a group fight with like 7 goons. Nothing you can't handle, but it is rather alarming that they were able to get into Little Asia in the first place. Tachibana and Kiryu try to escape from the back, but Kiryu is shot down by what Tachibana calls the most effective hitman I am aware of, Laogue. This dude is a demon, and it's here where Tachibana connects the dots and realizes that Laogue is the one who was used to frame Kiryu. Laogue was the actual person who shot dude in the empty lot. He was the one with the gun, because you know Kiryu can't own the gun. I think he established that in the first chapter of the game. It's also here where Tachibana sees that Laogue just wants to take him alive to the Dojima family, so if he complies, Kiryu should be able to escape with his life. And well, Kiryu can't really do much at the moment because he's already shot. So all Kiryu can do is just look as Tachibana gives himself up and pass out. Once Kiryu passes out, he wakes up on a hospital bed next to Elder Chen. So Chen here has pretty much already figured out that Oda's a snitch and Shibusawa has already ruined everything for everyone. But man, I gotta say, yo, that grandfather that like wanted to pass his land on to like Makoto, but that dude just like ruined her life and his like other relatives' life. Man, despite having a bullet in his side, Kiryu is fired up to go save Tachibana wherever he is. And Chen might actually be able to locate him, but it might take some time. So Kiryu goes over to check up on Makoto while Chen digs into his information network to try to find where Tachibana might be more like dying. Kiryu exits Little Asia and Dojima thugs are already waiting for him. And Nishiki is there too. These thugs are all talking like smack like, yo Nishiki, go beat him up, man. But then Nishiki says this. Nishiki's already clued into the fact that if Dojima wins, Kazuma's gonna get kicked out of the family, and that's gonna screw him over. Now Kiryu here is trying to play defensive with Nishiki like, oh, you're not my oath brother. But Nishiki's all like,
Nishiki.
覚悟しろよ。俺は一生おめえにつきまとってやる。
そこまで腹くくられたんじゃもう何も言えねえな。
Nishiki may be a bit of an emotional wreck, but he really is a true homie when it counts. Kiryu and Nishiki strip, and it's fight time. You fight against 4 long health dudes with Nishiki, but I will say, for the comeback of Nishiki, I did want a bit of a bigger battle, but this is fine. So Kiryu and Nishiki beat him up and they're just living it up, but it's back to business. Time to put the suits on. Right now, they have to head over to Makoto to protect her. So once they arrive at the tent, they see that she's fine. And now Kiryu has time to really fill in Nishiki and Makoto on what the current situation is. And it's got them both worried and confused. It is quite a complicated set of events. They don't have time to ask Kiryu any questions though, because they really need to get back to saving Tachibana. Makoto has to see the Tachibana, and Kiryu is willing to put down his life to make make sure that happens. So Chen finally sends a message to Kiryu's pager, so it's time to find a payphone. Chen gives you a location and tells you Kuze is there, and working for Shibusawa instead of Awano. This man is running out of options, so he might be dangerous. Might be, bro. He is dangerous. Gotta watch out for that dude. We gotta haul on over to Tachibana so that he doesn't die. You reach the building and Nishiki tells you there's no going back after this. And he really does mean it, because you're not gonna play as Kiryu until the final chapter. So, you know, do your thing before committing. Once we agree to go in, we cut to Tachibana getting just slammed. That punk from the first level in the game is slamming a huge hammer on Tachibana's feet, just completely destroying his toes in the process. But Tachibana isn't giving in though. He's actually being pretty smug despite getting his toes crushed. He even decides to poke fun at Kuze, pointing out that if they don't get info from him, Shibusawa will get angry at him. Once again, Kuze doesn't have many chances left. And it's here where Kuze decides to untie him and move locations. But this punk lieutenant starts acting up and calls him a pussy, which then Kuze just makes him back up.
てめえを見てて思い出したよ。俺はな、自分より強えと思える奴を殴るためにずっと極道を張ってきたんだ。てめえみたいな三下と一緒にするな。
Kuze goes over to untie Tachibana, which just makes the dude giggle a little, upsetting the lieutenant, who just proceeds to swing the hammer across his face. Yeah, Tachibana is probably very dead right now. Kiryu finally enters the room and immediately notices Tachibana's limp body, and his rage can't be contained.
So かい。なるようになっちまうもんだな。くぜー！
This is the easiest of the fights you have with him. That does have to do with you having most of your upgrades now, but it's mostly because this is a tight area with stuff to use with Beast Mode. And with Beast Mode, you can destroy your enemies and Kuze. And you have Nishiki helping you. So it's like, Kuze just doesn't stand a chance. And also, Kuze resorting to using groups to beat you up, bro, show no mercy. He doesn't have any QT transition into heat, I just thought to mention that. So this marks the 4th time you have beaten up Kuze, and Tachibana, thankfully, is still kind of alive. Kiryu tells Nishiki to get Makoto before Tachibana dies, and this time Tachibana informs you that the one who sent a hitman after you wasn't Kuze, but Dojima himself. Dojima has been behind everything because he wants to get rid of Kazama, but sadly that's all Tachibana can say because afterwards, he dies. During this moment of grief, Kuze interrupts to tell Kiryu that the empty lot has gone beyond the Tojo clan, because someone in the clan is planning to sell it to the Omi Alliance. If that takes place, then the Tojo clan could get buried.
牧村誠に指一本でも触れてみろ。俺が東条会を潰す。一人残らず叩き潰す。それが俺の覚悟だ。
小僧がとうとう化けやがった。本物の極道に。
Kiryu steps out with Tachibana, and Nishiki is here with Makoto, and it's just a tragedy. Makoto goes over to feel the dead body of the one she was trying to find all along. It's like, man. the chapter ends here. When a story sets out to be a prequel to an already established storyline, it definitely has its weaknesses if some established characters from the established storyline appear in the prequel, because you know they can't die because they appear in the next thing. Like Kiryu, there's no way he's gonna die in this game. Majima, there's no way he's gonna die in this game. And whenever you see new characters that don't appear in future projects, like, they're going to find some way to get rid of them. But man, Zero is just not afraid to go all out on its brutality. Like, no one is really safe. And honestly, I think that makes the story really effective because it isn't afraid to pull its punches. And man, what happened to Tachibana? Man, he really got put through the ringer. Even that is an understatement. We're definitely reaching a conclusion here. Before we get there, it's time to get back to Majima.